Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, lefties continue to cope, but no matter how much coping you do, it doesn't change the reality. Of course, the reality in this case being that the January 6th hearing is a total and utter mega flop. No matter how many times these Democrats like Mr. Bill Kristol retweet shill articles from the New York Times, more than 19 million people watched the January 6th hearing. Early tally shows more than 19 million people watched the primetime hearing. ... That number will grow. ... Viewers who tuned in mostly stuck around for the entire congressional proceeding. ... Fox's counter-programming efforts drew an average audience of 3 million. About normal. Now, first of all, I don't understand his punctuation of just putting triple dots in between everything that he's trying to say, but Bill Kristol and the rest of these leftoids on Twitter are trying to push this narrative that the primetime January 6th hearing is a smashing success early numbers show. More than 19 million people tuned in to watch. But of course, like most narratives that come out of these leftoids, and especially these leftoid outlets, it's not exactly telling you the whole story, and of course, most of the time, it's utterly dishonest. The reality is, the 19 million is nothing. In fact, it's a total flop, even compared to regular programming across all of these outlets. The reality is, the American people seem to have one collective response to Liz Cheney and Nancy Pelosi's hearing, and that's, we don't care. We've got more important things to do than watch this garbage. Let me show you guys the real numbers. At least let's put it into context. But before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so we need important context here. And thankfully enough, the Gateway Pundit puts it all into perspective for us. January 6 sham hearings, a ratings bust for big networks. Look how they compared to a normal weeknight. The January 6 committee's presentation on prime time was a major league bust on Thursday night. No one watched and no one cares about the lies the corrupt media and corrupt politicians have to share. They then link to this tweet from Cable News Watch, who writes, the Dems BS 16 hearings bomb in the ratings. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, ABC's attack on the Capitol drawing 4.4 million, NBC January 6 hearing drawing 3.2, CBC Capitol hearing drawing 3.3. Then The Hill's Joe Concha explained why these numbers are terrible. Context: the evening newscasts on CBS, NBC, and ABC average anywhere from 18 to 20 million viewers combined on a typical night. Those newscasts do not air in prime time. The January 6th hearings airing in prime time Thursday took in just 11 million viewers on those three same networks. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene then adds on top of that, this is what Americans think about the January 6th Hollywood hearings while they can't afford gas, groceries, and can't find baby formula. We should all thank Liz Cheney for leading the effort on Democrats destroying themselves in November. After all, she is still a, quote, Republican. Then showing a link that's comparing average newscasts to the January 6th hearings, and the numbers speak for themselves, the average being 5.92 million compared to January 6 being 3.63 million. A total and utter disaster. Bill Kristol is making this big thing about more than 19 million people watching, but that is across every single leftist news outlet. I believe more than 10 teamed up to air this hearing, and the reality is their numbers just suck. Not only was it massively publicized as this big thing with all of these promises and all of this damning new information and evidence, it's gonna be undeniable, folks. Donald Trump is going to jail, they say, for the 1000th time, and even with all the hype and all the advertising, they drew in less of an audience than normal, meaning most people turned the TV off or watched a movie or did something else with their time. And they're now celebrating this on Twitter as a massive victory, not to mention the fact that the hearing was devoid of actual content. Not only was it devoid of actual context as well, but more specifically content. They were promising all of this damning information just like they did with every single impeachment trial, and they delivered on none of it. We've covered every single talking point, all of the evidence, and of course the altered unfiltered and fake evidence, all the garbage that they've put out there in their sham hearing. And the idea is that 19 million people watching this are all going to be swayed in one direction. What I think is more likely to happen is that, look, a good portion of the people who tuned into this stuff have already made up their minds. They're already blue anon, vote blue no matter who crowd people anyways. And so to them, I mean, it really doesn't change anything. They've been convinced that Donald Trump is a Russian Manchurian candidate and criminal, and no amount of information is going to change that. So this January 6th trial doesn't change anything. But everybody else who probably watched this stuff with an open mind, everybody else who's probably actually paying attention and being honest, well, this is what happens when you set everyone's expectations so high and then you don't deliver. Kind of similar to Joe Biden's presidency if you think about it. People start jumping ship. Honest people tuning into the January 6th hearing saying, I wonder what new information I'm going to learn. I wonder what evidence they're going to show. Oh, this is going to be juicy. Only to have a bunch of hearsay and a bunch of nonsense and just repeating the same old thing they've been saying forever, with again, no evidence of an actual crime, no evidence suggesting or connecting Donald Trump to any of it. You think people are walking away from that saying, wow, that's some real damning stuff. That's a real connection. That's a real smoking gun. No, people are walking away going, wow, what a waste of time. I can't believe taxpayer dollars are being wasted on this while the nation is going through some of the worst economic crisis in over a decade. Wow, I can't afford gas and baby formula isn't even available in my neighborhood. I'm eating into my savings to survive, and even my retirement portfolio is taking a massive hit in Biden's economy, and my government and my elected officials are doing this. I think that's probably more likely what most honest, moderate, middle-of-the-ground Americans are thinking. What a waste of time. What a waste of money. What am I even watching? Which is probably the most likely explanation as to why so many people just tuned it out. They're sick of it. I mean, at first, it's primetime TV. It's big stuff, you know? Donald Trump wins in 2016 very unexpectedly. And then there's these massive allegations and accusations about Donald Trump being a Russian agent. And everyone's like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. At one point, people realized that the Democrats are just crying wolf. They're just not buying it anymore. It's one thing when it's fresh and new, the first year or the second year. We are going on the 6th year of anti-Trump hysteria and Trump derangement syndrome and massive kooky conspiracies and endless investigations and trials and taxpayer money, of course, being spent to attack this guy. You think it's just a coincidence that Donald Trump continues to become more popular as Joe Biden continues to crater into the ground? Donald Trump's approval rating is probably near 50% at this point, maybe even higher. And he's dominating Joe Biden in head-to-head polling matchups, hypothetical matchups going into 2024, across the board, from left-wing polling to right-wing polling to center polling. Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, in a head-to-head against Donald Trump are getting smashed in early polling metrics. Yet these Democrats think that they're accomplishing something by beating a dead horse and by pushing a narrative that people outside of the blue anon crowd don't believe anymore. And they don't realize that they continue to make Donald Trump more powerful. It's very similar to what we saw with Ron DeSantis. The more they illegitimately attack him with hoaxes, all these garbage conspiracy theories, the more sympathetic people get to Donald Trump. The more people start to view Donald Trump as the victim. And not to say that he's a poor victim, but I mean in the sense that people always have sympathy for people who are being attacked. If you see a bunch of kids bullying some innocent child, who are you going to be sympathetic for? The child. It's the same kind of concept. The more the media attack Donald Trump, the more they go after him unjustifiably, the more they try to destroy him, the more people are sympathetic to Donald Trump. Man, maybe he wasn't that bad after all, and maybe he doesn't deserve to be viciously attacked with all of these phony allegations and salacious information by all of these lunatics in the press and in the media. But they just don't get it. And so again, it's another concept that I think must be repeated. If you want the Democrats to lose, then all you gotta do is let the Democrats Democrat. And that's exactly what's going on here. They don't realize that all of the issues that they try to focus on are losing issues for them. They're trying to make this next election about everything except for what's important to the American people. And so of course we know the power is in the hands of the people, and it's going to backfire spectacularly for these Dems, spending millions of dollars on this sham hearing to make the 2022 election about Donald Trump. Donald Trump, who's basically been dormant over the last 2 years and just waiting for his time to reemerge as Joe Biden continues to tank the country into the ground. Well, that doesn't seem like a winning strategy to me. Politicizing tragic events and putting yourself in this position where you're promising your own voters that you're going to make all of this massive change and revolution in the country, and then failing to do any of it and giving up almost instantly, not exactly going to galvanize your base. Not only with gun control, but abortion, the same thing. Democrats seem to be in self-sabotage mode. They're shooting themselves in the foot, and at the same time, they're coping on Twitter as if they're making massive gains. Ooh, 19 million people tuned in, without giving the context that that's actually a massive failure, and the hearings themselves are probably backfiring spectacularly. You can keep coping, Democrats. You can keep telling yourself that everything's working out in your favor on Twitter, but the numbers, and we've been analyzing them for weeks, for months now, are telling a totally different story. Democrats are in the worst position they've been, and Joe Biden is at the lowest approval he's been since taking office. 19 million people tuned in to watch, and I could pretty much guarantee you we're going to see the same thing. Less and less people are going to be buying into the Democrat narrative. The Democrat downward trend will continue. That's what I got for you guys, though. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe. I'm going to get back to work. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.